We are back to Big Blue Lifers podcast. I'm Mr. U. That's Jess. We're in the building. What's going on, brother? How are you, man?
Doing all right. I
Oh,
haven't
the
felt
side first. Okay, you got the side first.
no. Just one of those days, a little bit of a long day, but I will admit it has been a long time since I felt this happy on a Monday following a Giants game. It's just preseason. I'm not going to get too worked up about things. Daniel Jones looked great in his preseason, if I'm remembering correctly. But, I think there were a lot more positives to take away
Oh,
from the
brother.
game on Saturday than there were negatives, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Oh, facts, man. This definitely there was a lot to be encouraged about. I know people say that you shouldn't be excited about preseason, but I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be listening to them because I've seen preseasons, many of them, and I
Mhm.
hate to date myself. I've seen plenty of preseasons, and this one just felt different to me. I'm not saying it means you're gonna win a Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm just saying it looked different to me. And one of the things I was encouraged by was the way the offense looked. And there's some things that you can probably get away with in preseason that you probably wouldn't in regular season.
Mhm.
But just little things I'm going to go ahead and call them intangibles. You can try to figure out what those things are. Maybe we can get into it if we have that as one of our topics. But the little intangible that you see, it's like if you do those things, you're more likely going to be successful in the regular season than not. If you do those little things, so it's just little fundamental things that you see from the quarterback and from how they got the ball out of their hand quickly, the decision making, how quickly they saw down, little things like that, making tackles, those little things. If those things pick up steam throughout the preseason, we might go into the regular season and not be what people think we're going to be. So I'm excited about the preseason. It wasn't because we won. I like how we played.
Yeah.
I like how we played. I
No,
know
I
it wasn't,
was very pleased.
yeah, I know it wasn't Josh Allen and James Cook. It was Ray Davis and Mike White. I forgot who the starter was for them. I think it was White.
Trubisky.
Trubisky.
And then
It was
then I
Mike White
believe it
actually.
was Mike White.
Okay. He's on the same team. Make sure I ain't lose my mind here. Okay, so Trubisky and essentially Ray Davis. They're not scrubs or anything, but they're not starting either. So I'm encouraged by it. So I'll just leave it at that. We can get into more details as we get into it. Where are we starting off from tonight, brother?
Uh, I think we start with the starters.
Start with the starters. Makes sense.
So, starting on offense there, it was really hard to truly take away a lot, in my opinion. A bunch of people have been talking about, how great it looked, how awesome, a lot of glowing reviews, but the truth for me it was not bad, but it really wasn't what I had wanted to see. It was a lot of checkdowns, a lot of Russ, dumping it off to running backs or tight ends in the flat. He had one really good connection for 11 yards with Wan'Dale Robinson, who was running a much deeper, I want to say it was a curl route, than I think we've really seen from Wan'Dale in the past few years.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was a semi-efficient running game. You would hope that Andrew Thomas comes back and is healthy and, things would look better because and this was a theme, it felt like, from all of our quarterbacks. A couple passes batted at the line. But at the end, the drive was derailed due to penalties by Hudson. I think it was Hudson exclusively. There
Wow.
was a couple false starts. I think there was a holding, but all in all, I want to see more. There was no Neighbors. There was no Slayton. There was no Hyatt. There was no Cam Scatabo. There was no Andrew Thomas. But I want to see Russ be able to work deeper down the field. Like, we know why he was brought in. You know, he's a veteran leader, and he still has one of the better deep balls in all of football. So I'm hoping we can see a bit of that against the Jets, and then things look good, and then just rest the starters against New England entirely. But all in all, it was a good, not great showing from our starting offense, in my opinion. But I don't know. What do you think?
Man. All right, so there's so many pictures to start here. Hearing about the drive stalling out due to penalties, because I was in a situation where I couldn't get a chance to see the game. They're on my TV and still couldn't get to see the whole game. So I'm like, that really didn't sit well with me, but I had something that was priority I had to take care of, but I didn't like the fact that I had to do that. But anyways, so I didn't get to even see the replay. But hearing that, it's like, okay, I heard that last year too. That was one of our biggest complaints, and we talked about it, I think, 2 weeks ago on this show. That those drives because of penalties, that stuff is a killer. You can't win like that, especially against a quality team that we're going to be playing against. So I didn't like that part. One of the reasons why I was making a point about not wanting to see so much of Jackson Dart in the first game was because I really feel like we needed to see more Russ. We needed to see more of the other guys. I have no idea why Hyatt wasn't out there. Unless he's injured, I don't get why you were.
It was an injury. From what's being reported, he suffered some kind of injury on Friday, I believe it was.
Okay, I don't want to be injured, but I'm glad that's the reason why you need to be sitting out. You need to be out here the whole time if possible, because you're literally fighting for your job, I think. So as far as Wan'Dale being the only starter out there, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. I thought Humphrey would be out there, but he's not starting, I know, but I thought Humphrey would be out there a good bit too with him. But I think Wan'Dale has some things to prove too. So I'm not really going to say, he doesn't need to be starting. I mean, I think so. I think we figured out that it have a 3 wide receiver starting. Wan'Dale's going to be at least a third one in there. So I think we kind of agreed on that. So yeah, giving him some time out there was a great thing. Russ only been out there for one drive because I saw a piece of it, and I looked at the time on the clock, and I see Dart out there. I'm like, wait a minute, how much did Russ play? So I wasn't really thrilled with that because even though he's a veteran, you may say, you know what, he doesn't need any work. But if you look at our team last year and look at what we went through, top to bottom, I feel like nobody, I'm not going to say nobody's untouchable, but nobody's exempt at this point from the kind of work ethic that we need to be having right now. I mean, because we didn't look good for a long time, for years. And new people that come in, I don't really care where you came from. And in this particular moment, I don't even care about your pedigree. I don't care if you even won a Super Bowl. This is almost like we starting from scratch and trying to build a cake from scratch. We ain't got no recipe box to use. We build this from scratch. We can't use the 2008 model. We can't use that. We can't use that because Eli's not Russ and Neighbors. It's not. We can't use any of that. So we build this cake from scratch. I feel like it needs to be all hands on deck. I'm not saying you're gonna play for the whole preseason. That's dumb. I'm not saying that. But you got to be out here way more than what I'm seeing right now. If they're not in that, if starters not in that last game for a whole quarter or more, I'm a little bit nervous because when you gonna get your reps in? Week 1? Probably not when you want to do that. You better get in there for at least a quarter in that last one. You have to.
Well, here's the thing. I want to say every single team barely plays their starters in preseason these days. Again, I know this is a bad comparison, but like Mahomes and the Chiefs starters, Mahomes threw one pass all game yesterday or was it Saturday?
They said he was gonna play a whole quarter. He didn't play a whole quarter. They had it in the ticker and everything. They said he gonna play 1 full quarter.
I don't know if the Chiefs, again, like it's one of those things where team to team, some teams play their starters a bit more, but no one really plays them that much. I don't know a single team that plays their starters the entire first quarter or something. But what I'm really hoping is that this isn't what happened, 2 years ago now, when we 2023, I think it was a preseason game against the Panthers, I want to say. And the Giants had that one drive with Darren Waller and DJ, and things looked really, really nice. And they had one drive. I think they got the touchdown, and then nothing. They didn't do it, and they didn't play any more in the preseason. They played a bit more last year with DJ and some of the starters. But I'm gonna admit, if the starters don't play at all for the rest of preseason, I'm not gonna be happy. Russ was 6 of 7 for what was it? 28 yards. That's not even 5 yards of completion. So again, some of that was, there were some passes where clearly the pressure was getting through a bit, and he did do the smart thing and kind of just checked it down, and the guy was tackled immediately, where it's like, just clearly he wanted to take a bit of a deeper shot, but just things didn't work out that way. And so rather than take the sack, he took the check down, which you hope to see from your quarterback. You'd rather the check down than the sack. So some of those completions were for 0 yards, and you'd almost, but again, that's why I want to see, hey, is Neighbors healthy? Or at the very least, is Sladen healthy? Can we get Sladen and Wandale and Hyatt out there, But
I just want to see what we have, because honestly, I don't. I think if you meant what you said a little bit ago, I'm totally in agreement with you. We got to see starters out there a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh no, I think they definitely need to be out there a little bit
more. I'm in total agreement with that, because there's just no way that we can end that on that note. I'm not saying it wasn't good. I think the offense did, in some cases, better than the defense. If you look at it, I think the people who had eyes on it while they were watching it may feel the same way. And when the last time you heard that about us? So I'm just like, I'm really concerned about, seeing the continuity and seeing kind of, because honestly, in the training camp situation, I feel like it's not the same, where you can really see, the entire machine moving, on all cylinders. And week one, I kind of feel like we got to do some, at least, for me, here's my idea, and everybody's afraid of injuries, because it happening, people at rapid paces out here. I probably had 5 on my phone yesterday alone, people who are injured throughout the league, so I get it. I want to have a quarter with everybody in it. That's what I want to have. If we can do that, because a quarter is not a long time on your offense, unless your offense is out there the entire time, which would be horrible. But if your offense is playing for a quarter, I don't think that's too much to ask, because that will allow everybody to kind of find out where we are, find out what we got. Is Little Jordan going to be taking the spot to the highest in right now? Let's fight for it and see who's going to do what, because we're not that far away from the cuts. At the end of August, people are going to be getting cut and either going to the PS or they going to some other team. So I don't think we have the luxury, based on the years that we had prior to this. I don't care what the norm is throughout the NFL right now. That don't really apply to us, because we got a special situation. We got Daboll and Shane. They got a special situation. We can't afford to mess around. Even with Andrew Thomas not playing right now, you and I already talked about how concerned we are about that. This is a special situation. We don't have time to mess around. So I want to see all the guys that are going to be projected starters and see what they're doing out here, so we know, are we going to the season excited with expectancy, or are we like, you know what, here we go again. This is what it's going to be. The same old same. I want to just know. A quarter will help me out with that. I don't care who we're playing. A quarter will help me out with that. Just one quarter. Not next week, because that was going to happen if guys are injured, but at least by the end, the last preseason game, at least one quarter. Let's just see what we have.
You're definitely not going to see them out there for a full quarter. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I want to see them do at least 2 drives against the Jets. I would like to see that. Not 1, but 2. But I don't think we're going to get any word about that until Thursday. I don't think we're getting any word about that until Thursday.
2 drives, they're going to tell us enough.
But, speaking of starters, again, while not out there a lot, the starting defense did look very good. Like, Abdul Carter was a freak of nature. I'm sure all Giants fans who, are listening to this or watching this have seen this stat circulating, but Abdul Carter played just 6 snaps, just 6. Of those 6, 3 were pass rushes. He recorded a pressure and hurry on all 3, meaning he had a 100% pass rush win rate. That is insane. And before anybody starts getting all uppity, being like, he did that against the backups. No, he did that against the Bills' starting offensive line, with 2 of those 3 wins coming against 4-time Pro Bowler, one of the top left tackles in football, not top 5, but he's probably top 10, Dion Dawkins. That's crazy. This guy's a freak of nature. And he did all of this without Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence did not play at all this game. He got 1 win against O'Cyrus Torrence, the second-year guard, I believe, out of Florida. And then he had 2 wins against Dion Dawkins. Meanwhile, the defense, who is next to him? Roy Robertson-Harris looked a lot better in this game than what's been reported coming out of practice. Paulson Adebo, Javon Holland, everybody got to the ball. I think at one point against the starting defense, the Bills through 2 drives had just like a total of 10 yards. And then the starting defense started getting like rotated out a bit. But man, if Dexter Lawrence is healthy and is playing like he did last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, like if he's just even 2022 Dex, never mind 2020, early 2024 Dex, with, you got Kayvon, you got Burns, and you got Carter. Man, these guys, they're gonna wreck games, dude.
I hope so. Kayvon is just staying in. I was gonna wait till next week to talk about it, but Kayvon just stays in the trade talking news, man. What is the obsession with getting this man out of here? Why is his name constantly coming up? I don't want to lose anybody because we need all the depth we can get. If this is going to be the kind of defense that we think. Why is this man's name floating around? I feel like the better that Abdul Carter does, the more that he flashes like this, I feel like the more we're going to hear. I'm like, it doesn't have to be an either or situation. It doesn't have to be that. We can use this to our advantage. But go ahead, man.
No, you are 100% right. This isn't Madden where, you're not able to do like rotations and stuff like that, packages. This isn't Madden where a team is just going to be like, oh, you traded away your 3rd for in the Jackson Dart trade up. Here's a 3rd for Kayvon. I think we should be able to get like a 3rd for Kayvon because he has flashed. He has been productive. This is a whole nother discussion, but I want to getting into a bit of a back and forth with a guy on Twitter about, like he was saying that the Giants, GM Joe Shane and head coach Brian Daboll, they're still terrorists. He can't support the team until they're gone, with all that nonsense.
And one of the things that they're terrorists. Yeah, we shouldn't throw that word. We shouldn't throw that word around so loosely. Terrorists.
Yeah.
What did they do? Besides,
So that's what I was like.
make
It's
make a
almost like
fan's life uncomfortable. Beside that, what do they
yeah,
do?
no, I did. I asked, like, I don't understand. This all started because I ended up responding to essentially that post.
You should know better.
I was
Go
like,
ahead.
I don't understand some Giants fans like sheer hatred for these. Like, what have they done that is so bad? And then he starts, talking about how 2022 draft class is garbage, and I don't think the 2022 draft class is garbage. We got Kayvon, solid contributor. Wandale, solid contributor. Micah Fadden, solid contributor. And the issue is that the draft just wasn't as good as it needed to be. But Kayvon, I think, is going to be an important part of this defense. As it stands right now, no. I don't think Kayvon is going to be as productive or truly impactful as Carter or Burns or Dex. But he is going to be a valuable piece for if we want to have like a 5-man front, which right now would look like, probably Kayvon on one side, on the outside, Burns on the other, and then you've got Carter lined up somewhere in the middle, Dex lined up at nose, and then maybe Robertson Harris, as the second defensive tackle. So that way everybody's in a theoretical one-on-one situation. If we're throwing something out there like that, or just a more traditional NASCAR package or something like that, where, he's just a good player to have, because, and again, I think we're going to talk a bit about this when we start talking about, getting into some of the second string guys. Once the starters came off, the defense played terribly for the most part. Like massive, like the backup safeties. I don't know what kind of miscommunications, or if these guys genuinely didn't know where they were supposed to be, but there were multiple, at least 2, if not 3 or 4 instances of just guys being wide open, way down the field, entirely behind them. One of those was a touchdown. One of them, it was right before the half. They got down to off of one play, they got to the 5-yard line and were able to kick a field goal, because of that. And again, this was against the likes of Mitch Trubisky and Mike White and, oh God, who was their third? Shane Buchele. I don't even know how that guy's last name is pronounced. Sounds like Italian or something. I don't know. But in particular, Trubisky and Mike White had their way at times. And there were times where the run defense, like the backup tackles, were just bad. Getting gashed in the running game. So, yeah, we need Kayvon for depth. But again, when this starting unit was out there, and again, doing this without the likes of Dexter Lawrence, I mean, these guys are going to eat, man. These guys are going to eat. And I cannot wait to see what they can do against the likes of Washington's kind of new offensive line week 1.
Wow. Same here, brother. I'm encouraged. I know we talked about, especially after the draft, especially right after the draft, we talked a lot about words like best defense in years and elite defense. Those kind of words were floating around. So I got high expectations for them. I know that around the league, very few people have really, really strong backups. Everybody has, people who are starting. They kind of have their spot cemented. There's not really a battle or a question about it. When the backups come in, you normally see a drop off with everybody. So it's not really something that's so unique. But in our case, I was hoping to be a little better than that, just because of the guys that they didn't go after to try to bolster the back end. They kind of kept guys that were around, like Chapman and these guys that are around. Like, okay, so we'll see after the 53 as we get down to a 53-man roster. But I'm just wondering what their plan was with that. But we'll see. We'll watch it. But I'm encouraged by the defense and how it looks, man. So I'm excited about that. I'm still shocked by the O line, man. I wonder if anybody's going to talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, because these guys, they came inside here and did some things that I'm like, okay, people might want to talk on Twitter and TikTok, but the reality is, all four of our quarterbacks are out there. Number one, and they attempted 51 passes against the Bills starters, converted 35 of them, good for about 69% completion for 317 yards. This is basically Wilson, Dart, Winston, and DeVito. Probably not Wilson so much. Dart, Winston, and DeVito. 3 touchdowns, 317 yards, no interceptions, overall passer rating of 104.8, and they dropped back 51 times, didn't get sacked one time, and they were playing the Bills starters. I'm sorry, but that's not, after what I've been seeing. I don't know what any other Giants fan is seeing. That's an improvement. I'm going to take that, because not only did they do that against the starters, but they actually did that, and kept that going against the second and third string. So it wasn't like it was an anomaly. They did the same thing throughout. So it's like, okay, that's progress. We'll see what it's going to look like in real game situations, but that's a plus right there, because the O-line, we asked some questions about it. Marcus Bold, I think he played both sides of the line, and he showed out from what I understood. Look really good. Fantastic sign. We need that from him. It's kind of almost like, well, it's not like K1. I think it's a little bit different. But it's similar in the way that he is quality depth for us, and the better he is, the better we're going to be as a line overall. If he has to step into spots, we'll see what happens with Hudson. I don't really like what I heard with that situation earlier today, but we'll see how it is. But Marcus Bowl, as good as he gets, it's to the benefit of the entire line. So I'm encouraged by that, man. I mean, I don't know how you see that, but that's good stuff, man. That's something to be celebrated, because we've seen that we've had lament in the preseason before in recent years. So it's like, I'm gonna take my little small wins. I don't care. I ain't let nobody hate on me. I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm like, what? No sacks? That's not. People who write these editorials, they have to underline that, because it's not normal. For Giants or for anybody, no sacks, 51 times, not one sack against starters. Come on. So that's a good thing. It should be celebrated. So I applaud. Is the name pronounced Basillo? I think it is Shane Basillo. Carmen Basillo.
Yeah, Carmen Basillo.
Yeah. I give him props, man, because look like he's helping this line reach some of their potential. So we'll see how it goes, especially going into the end of the preseason and going into the season where the games really matter. But he came in with a bit of a pedigree, so I'm excited to see what he can do with this group. Hopefully he can work with him and turn him into some surprises, man, because we could use that. If that kind of stuff happens, along with a defense that we think could potentially be one of the best, we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add there. It was for the most part against like the second, third, fourth string. But when the Bills defensive starters, were in, the likes of Ed Oliver, he they got some winning reps against our guys, but for the most part, they were doing what they needed to do. If they got beat, they weren't giving up on the play. They got right back in there, tried to create some space for Wilson or Dart or Winston or DeVito to be able to step up and maneuver. And those guys did. It was very nice to see some more pocket movement from our guys. That's one of the things Daniel Jones really struggled with. Sensing the pressure and moving, one step to the right, which allows the tackle just that much, more time to push the defender further back, just it's these little things that when your guys don't do them, you don't really notice. It just looks like everything's bad. But then when your guys can do that and make the line look better maybe than it was, even with how good the line played, again, like there was like Marcus Bow had one of the highest grades on PFF for pass blocking of all tackles, I think it was, in week 1 of the preseason. So it was very promising, a lot of good development. And Marcus Bow, I think, has now, in my mind, positioned himself, especially with how Hudson and Forsyth looked, as maybe this is the guy that should be number 1 on the swing, when, who's going to come in for these jumbo packages, who's going to be that swing tackle. He's certainly thrown his name in the ring there. He has another showing against the Jets like this. And, I don't know. Like, you were talking about this last week, and I thought it was ridiculous about him getting about I'm gonna be honest. Like, right now, again, it is 1 week of the preseason. He could really struggle against the Jets, and maybe this is, kind of kaput. But the fact that we haven't gotten really any updates on the status of Andrew Thomas is starting to worry me. And hypothetically, if Marcus Bow continues to look like he did in that game, and he goes out there and he shows out against maybe the Jets starters or something like that, or whatever, he continues to really show some good stuff, maybe come week 1, we move Illuminor to left and he can get the start on the right. Maybe something like that. I don't think he's ready for that full time. And then once Thomas comes back, Illuminor moves over to the right side again. But if that is, in this hypothetical of Andrew Thomas not being ready, the best possible front 5 that we could have there, 5-man offensive line, then I think that is what the Giants should do if they think that's like the best we can put out there.
All right. I mean, I've been, like I said, I was high on the guy. I mean, I didn't think we were gonna take him before. I think it was 55th, somewhere up, 3rd round for sure. But whatever it was, I didn't think we'd go higher than that. But he was on my board for sure and high up there. So I'm rooting for him. So I'm excited about him coming in. I mean,
round pick. I remember when I saw him there in the 4th, I was like, dude, take Marcus Bow. And then they took Cam Scatterbo, and I was like, oh,
I'm not mad at that. He was on my board too. So
got him in the 5th. I'm like, holy cow, dude.
Cam was on my board too, so I ain't mad at that. Both those guys were on my board, so I'm happy. I'm not mad at that whatsoever. So anything he does, I guess, is going to be gravy. I love that scenario though. So I guess I'm not ridiculous right now. I guess so far.
No,
I guess
right now you are looking more right than I was last week. I'll give you that much.
It's all good.
But,
I want to ask you a couple of things before we get to the close of the show. I think because I want to hear your thoughts on 2 things that we've been talking about for a little bit. But one was how we ended the show last week. I was talking about how I didn't want to see that much Dart. You got a chance to see Dart extensively.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you feel about that, and then we can get into the cornerback battle, which is like still a thing, amazingly. But we'll get there. That's it. I'm concerned about the secondary, but that's okay. We'll get to that last. We'll close the show with that stuff.
Jackson Dart, man. I don't know if I put it in the agenda. No, I didn't. So I don't know if you've seen this, but some new concerns for the secondary.
Tell me about Dart first. Let's finish that part of the conversation.
So Dart looked way better to me than I expected.
Okay,
he looked decisive. He was able, going back to this, the way he moved around in the pocket was way better than I expected. Still has a little bit of accuracy issues, but honestly, he might have even played better than the stat line suggests, because there were several 3rd down drops that
I've seen some of those.
weren't on him. Like, there was one play where I think it was to the Giants' last drive of the first half. So it might have been the last. Yeah, I think it was actually the last throw he made. Where he went for maybe a bigger play than he needed to, and he tried to force it to Washington, and Washington went up, and it was like something that maybe Washington should have had. It wasn't an easy catch by any means, but had he just taken, like maybe half a second and looked slightly down, he would have seen Zach Pascal wide open, could have given him a nice toss right there, and Pascal easily could have turned upfield, gotten the first down, and who knows, but Dart, obviously I'm biased, but everything I've seen, I think he played the best of any rookie QB this weekend. I know Josina Anderson. Did you see all of the drama going down with Josina Anderson and the Giants fans on Twitter?
No.
So for those who don't know, Josina Anderson is a former reporter for ESPN, I believe. She's been around for a little while, and she is very much, at the very least, with how her reporting seems to have been, a big fan of Shedeur Sanders. So on Friday, Shedeur had his game and played very well. And pretty much, I think it was after the second touchdown that Sanders threw, or maybe it was even the first, she tweets out something about, oh, Sanders looking great, better look out, Giants fans, or something like that. Taking a shot at the Giants when every single team in the NFL passed on Shedeur at least 4 times. At least. Heck, the team that drafted him took a different quarterback before they took him.
Oh, man.
And she singles out the Giants. Not look out NFL or bet all these other GMs are regretting this. No, specifically calls out the Giants. And then when the Giants game is going on, Dart, throws a beautiful, beautiful touchdown to Lil Jordan Humphrey. Threw him open, actually read the defense, audibled the play, sent Lil Jordan Humphrey on a just a streak route, one-on-one against the defender, and Dart places it perfectly, throws him open, touchdown. It was like a 29-yarder. And she just takes this backhanded shot at him, saying that, making up for what should have been an interception, Dart places a good pass. You could tell she hated having to send out this tweet talking positively about Jackson Dart and the Giants. And it was just, it was all, so Giants fans were going after her, talking about how, Dart outplayed him and all that sort of stuff. When at the end of the day, neither one of these guys is going to be starting week 1, most likely. And I say most likely because for the Giants, the only way Jackson Dart gets to start, I think at this point, is if Russell Wilson gets injured. Because then maybe they go to him over Winston. But even then, that's not the guarantee. They might still go Winston over Dart week 1 just to let Dart sit a bit. And, maybe Shedeur outplays Flacco. And the Browns are just like, you know what? Screw it. We need the headlines. But
yeah,
the Giants,
I don't see it.
I think Giants ownership, the front office, the coaching staff, the fans, the locker room, I think everybody in and around the Giants as a team are feeling very good about how Jackson Dart played on Saturday. And I think we're all very excited to see him get back out there on Saturday again, I believe it is. I think their game against the Jets is 8/16. So, yeah, I think it's Saturday.
Right. I'll try to be brief so we can move on to our last topic. So, I was concerned about Dart. Don't want him to get hurt. You know how I feel about that. So, he went out there and did good. I'm not going to lie. I was very happy. I got to see a lot of highlights. That's kind of where I was at in life this weekend. So, I saw a lot of highlights. Pleasantly surprised by that. I didn't know about the Josina thing, but I did quickly try to get up to speed while you were talking. First off, I'm kind of surprised that she would do that. That other lady that works for the Jets that be on ESPN, I'm blanking on her name right now, but I expect that kind of stuff from her. But Josina Anderson, I thought she was on a different level, but apparently I was wrong. She's not, because the Giants to Sanders rumors that were going on, that's really all that they were. They were just rumors. There was no actual evidence to support any of it, really. He came in like any other quarterback did and got hit with the install package and didn't know what was going on, and it didn't sit right with the coaching staff. And guess what happened? He didn't get looked at. It wasn't her tweet was about Sanders having Giants cleats. His father confirmed he had Giants cleats, he had Titans cleats, and a few other teams cleats. So it wasn't about the Giants. Why are you taking shots for? And on top of that, somebody and the fan who answered was very astute. Like you said, many teams passed on him.
Every team,
Not just the Giants. Everybody at least twice.
Multiple times.
Wasn't Sanders taken in the he was taken in the 5th round, right?
5th round. So
everybody went around twice at least. So why
yeah,
you taking shots at the Giants for? I mean, there's legit reasons why the Giants didn't take Sanders. There's probably a lot of legit reasons why. What we saw today, with that day, that's good. I'm glad Sanders doing good. I got a buddy of mine. He's a Cowboys fan. I don't know why he even cares, but he was asking about what do you think I should do. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't watching that game, but he was concerned about him and whatever. But I'm like, okay, I want the kid to do good. I ain't against him, but he's not. Who had nothing to prove against the Giants unless you're going to show us how good he is at an install package. Other than that, I don't know what else you're going to prove out there. You better play for your career. You have to with 5 quarterbacks. Some of them are injured. You have to be battling for your job against 4 other quarterbacks. You need to focus on your game and getting better and being on this team, because that's not even a guarantee. Even at the pick, well, especially now that he was picked in the 5th round and not in the 1st round, there's no guarantee that you're not booted. You think that can't happen? You think you can't get cut? It can definitely happen. So there's even more incentive now because he was picked so late. It's less incentive for them to hold him if they don't see the value in it. So just focus on you. The quote from Josina Anderson, I don't even get where that even came from. It's just unwarranted. But the Giants just seem to always have to get shots taken at them all the time. I'm like, it's not that the players are talking. The coaches aren't talking smack. The fans, well, different story. The fans talk a lot of smack to opposing teams, and they get into it. You get what you pay for, man. But it's really a non-starter for me, man. I'm just glad Dart did so well and looked good. There's a lot of hope in that performance, man. It's like, wow, perhaps we got the right guy for the future, man. So I'm like, I'm good with that kind of stuff, man. And you mentioned somebody earlier. I'm like, be free from Daniel Jones. Be free, man. We're free. We don't have to worry about it anymore. Daniel Jones don't play for us no more. We don't even have to mention his name. We're free, man. We are unleashed from that. We good to go, man. We got a new quarterback. We actually got a few new quarterbacks. We're going in the right direction, man. Let's keep it positive, man. We got to look at the past and everything. We good to go, man. We got to worry about Shador. We got to worry about Daniel Jones, what he's doing in a coach uniform. We good to go, man. The future is bright. I like how Dart looks, man. Let's keep looking forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, sadly, we're choosing to end on a more negative note.
Let's see how we can turn it around. Let's see if we can turn it around.
Well, then I guess I'll start with this for the final topic. Andrew Phillips, our slot corner, was injured during the game.
Saw that.
from everything that's being reported, it doesn't sound like it's something major.
I don't think
He
so
just
either.
got a bit banged up, and they didn't want him to finish the game. They're just like, all right, that's it. You're done. I haven't heard any word. I don't think press is allowed at training camp anymore, so we're not getting like these updates, daily from some guys who are at the camp being like, oh yeah, Phillips, he was in pads, but he was a light participant. They're clearly we're not getting anything like that right now.
Yeah.
Um,
They only have him with an injury designation, so I'm good with that. Ain't but three guys on the entire roster that have one. You know about AT, Eric Gray, and the other guy. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but Dimukeje,
yeah,
backup linebacker. Those are only three guys on the roster right now that have an injury designation. So I think Drew should be okay. I'm not worried about it.
yeah. So, it's a guy that we desperately need. He was easily our best corner last year, I would say. The very least, he was our best tackler in the secondary. Him and Newbin. But yeah. So Joe Shane did go on the broadcast and just straight up said, yeah, battle between Banks and Flott for CB2. Banks seems to not be just winning it. Seems he's kind of getting it by default with Flott's injury. And his performance did not inspire much confidence, let's say.
Let me guess. He didn't turn his head again. Let me guess. He didn't turn his head again.
That was one of the things, yeah. He didn't
learn nothing.
He didn't turn his head, and there were a couple of instances where he was just straight getting beat. Now, for the most part, I think he did all right, in terms of just being sticky to his guy. But we know he can do that. We know he's athletic. I don't remember the wide receiver's name, but there was this big play where the guy straight up mossed him and had his right foot landed in bounds. That's a catch. And Banks is right there. And the worst part about it was he did kind of turn his head. He turned his head and then turned it back and continued to play the man. He easily, with his positioning, could have kept his head turned around, kept running, and then just jumped and made a play on the ball. And maybe it's a pick. Maybe he lands out of bounds. I don't know. But anything would have been better. It's gotten to a point where I think it was Dan Duggan was saying today, tweeting today, that there's a very real possibility the Giants look to bring someone in, be it via trade or free agency, to maybe just be slotted in at CB2. I don't know who. I know a popular name right now is Asante Samuel Jr.
I'll take him.
I know Bradbury, still, former Giant and Super Bowl champion James Bradbury still out there. Maybe he would work. Maybe he would work better in a Shane Bowen system rather than a Wink Martindale system. Who knows? But I want to say that like the guys who are still out there in free agency are there for a reason. A guy like Samuel could be interesting because he's only like 25, 26. Like he's still a young guy. He's theoretically still got some good football in him. But, no one's picked him up for a reason. It's not like Pat Surtain is not out there in free agency right now. Derek Stingley isn't out there. Sauce ain't out there. So I don't know who would be available, what kind of CB2 would be available for trade. I don't know what that would cost us. We've only got like $3 to $4 million in cap space available right now anyways.
Spend it.
Maybe Thomas would agree to a restructure.
Ask him.
You know,
Ask him.
I know they're. I think they already restructured Dex a bit this offseason.
I think they did too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what options are really available right now.
Got to be something. Because this is, man, all eyes on this man. Because after what you said last week or week before, I'm like, man, this can't continue. And now, I'm sure the sideline. Sounds like you intimated that people ain't happy. I mean, you got this guy that came out basically out of Maryland as what you would call a premier prospect, man. Played man coverage better than anybody in the entire draft class. I mean, he was supposed to be a certified CB1 for a team. So when we got him, we thought that's what we were going to get. Lit the combine up. I mean, solidify his spot as a top prospect. And we took him as such. Had all the tools, man, all the fundamentals. Funny word to say that associated with him, though. All the tools, all the fundamentals, the film, everything on tape was there. I mean, he dominated, man. And then he got into the league, and I don't know what happened. I mean, when he was with under Wink, who plays a really aggressive system. I mean, blitzing up front and whatnot, press man coverage and stuff. And Banks looked like he was in the right spot. It looked like he was working. He was, doing what he had to do. I don't know what changed. Only thing that's different is the DC that's there now. Other than that, I don't know what changed about the way that he's playing. But when I'm just like I'm concerned about it because what do you think God's gonna do? And look at our division alone and the quarterbacks in our division. What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna try to capitalize on that over and over and over again, and it's going to be embarrassing. I mean, because if you throw the ball down the field before Abdul Carter can get to you to sack you, it's going to be a long, long night. We got to have that thing short up back then. I just don't understand why we can't do that. I know there's some guys that might not be a whole bunch of guys are available, but man, we got to try something. I heard what you said last week, man. I respect you, brother. If you really feel like he's the best that we can have, and you think he can help us, that's fine, man. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have a game and he can't help a team out. But man, we're still talking about you can't do something as simple as turning your head. We're still here doing that. It's like, what's going to happen when guys want to test you? Guys that are savvy, like well, I don't think the Steelers are on our schedule, but a guy like Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to test that, and they're going to get long pass plays, and you're going to get dinged with a penalty because you won't turn your head. It's going to be, they can just do that as much as they want to. Who's going to stop them? Not you. All they can do is have a guy run deep, run a deep pattern, and here comes Banks. Like he's trying to wave like air traffic control. It's going to be an automatic every time. We're going to get beat like that all the time. We got to have somebody come inside and do something different. I mentioned about Kayvon Wallace last week, but you didn't seem to like him too much. But I mean, I don't know enough about him to not like him. I'll just say, is he in the running, man? Can he come in and help? Because this is like, if not, you got to go on the street. Because this is not good. I mean, I don't think he was totally sold on Flott being the guy, even if he won it out. And I'm like, okay, so what that tells me that this competition is not really a legit competition, or at least it shouldn't be. Because if you don't like him, if he won it, it's like if you're not confident with Flott and you're not confident with Banks, which we're not, we got to find options in some place. I don't know. We probably don't have time to get into all that stuff, but I would just say that we need to start looking. I mean, restructuring and spending some money. I mean, if that's what it takes to bring somebody with some pedigree who has won at the highest level, we got to do something because I don't want to be thinking about cornerback. I don't think the Giants want to be thinking about it either. Going to the season against a really tough schedule, to be honest with you. Opposing quarterbacks that fling the ball. I don't want to be thinking about whether Banks is going to turn his head around. Are you going to be an easy target, or are you going to make him work for it? He ain't going to make him work for it. We see that. So that means you're the opposite. You're an easy target. We don't need that, man. But That's all I got for this, man. I just want to just put that out there, man.
I'm going to end it with this. I wonder if the Giants, if they're looking to upgrade CB2 via trade, I wonder if there's a team out there where the Giants could be like, look, we already gave up our third. Maybe if we were to trade Deonte Banks and a second, maybe we could, get a CB2 from a team that, is kind of more so looking to stockpile picks. Now, I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm not even saying that there's real substance behind it. I've only seen Dan Duggan, who seems to be a relatively locked-in reporter, say it wouldn't shock him if the Giants try and make a move to trade for a CB2 if they're not pleased with how Banks and Flood are looking. And from the sounds of it, they're not happy with how Banks and Flood are looking. Flood's injured again, and Banks is underperforming. So if I'm the Giants, I don't want to trade a second-round pick. But if that's what it takes, and then you get, kind of like this more even you get off of Banks's first round pick kind of contract, you find something there. But, again, I don't even know who it would be. But I'm just, in this hypothetical here that, a guy is available. But,
it's worth considering at this point.
I know it's not Madden. I said that earlier. You're not going to be able to just trade a guy and just kind of get back whatever you want. When we were talking about Kayvon, like, this isn't Madden. But I don't know what it would take to, outside of some insane level restructuring, to some contracts, which I think they might be a little hesitant to restructure Thomas because of his injury concerns.
I can't blame him for that.
Oh, yeah, you definitely can't blame them for that. And then outside of that, I don't really know who they would restructure. But, outside of that, the only way I could see them making money work is including some of their guys. Like, it wouldn't just be so-and-so is available, throw a bunch of picks. Like, no, we'd need to offer, a player in response. Or in exchange, rather. But again, as of right now, I do think Banks is as good as we're going to get. But, I don't want to end things on a dour note, so I'll say this. I do think that for the most part, the rest of the secondary, the rest of the starters, Adebo looked good. Holland and Nubin didn't have any breakdowns deep. And again, being with how things are being talked about, it doesn't seem like the injury to Phillips is all that serious.
No.
He was in there. Fine. He was getting scrappy, as we know he can be. That's how he got hurt.
Yeah.
So
no worries.
It looks.
I'm happy with the safeties. I'm happy with that.
It looks better. It definitely looks better.
So here's what I wasn't planning for the last word, but here's what I'll say here. I know the restructuring thing, that's a big reach to restructure anybody at this point. I think I think a lot of the roster, I'm probably going to just make a sweeping statement, say 70% of it, and we in make or break situations. Probably even more than 70%. A lot of guys may not be returning. The roster could be gutted based on how things go this year. In regards to just the whole cornerback thing, I'm going to put all my chips on the guys that get cut at the end of the month. I'm putting all my chips on that one because I know if we can get anybody that's better than Flat, it's better. It's still gonna be better than what we have. So I'm looking at that and hoping that's what works out. Can't rely on restructuring the trade thing. I hate the whole idea of a second round pick, third, fourth, but not a second. So I'm concerned about that one. I don't see how it's going to fly. Somebody out there might love him so much they might see the value in Deonte and make that leap. But all you can do is offer, I guess. But I just don't see it happening. So the guys that get cut, Those are the ones we can't predict that right now. I'm really chomping at the bit to see what happens at the end of August. I want to see who's on the street because those are the guys. There's no way in the world. I can promise you, the Giants are going to have the guys on this thing intently, see who gets cut because that spot right there, it could mean a lot for our season. So I'm excited to see what they do. I'll be watching. I'm sure you will be too, man. But excited about the show. We got to over an hour talking about the Giants offseason and training camp. So I guess every week that's the goal. We made it. I don't know how we did it. You said 45 minutes offline, but we made it into 60 minutes plus. So good stuff, brother, man. But I'm excited about the season coming up. We're getting closer to it, man. A couple more preseason games, and guess what we're doing, man? We're talking NFL, and we'll be doing some more work. Maybe some live look-ins if we can make our schedules work. Breaking news. We can start breaking some news out here if we got it like that. We'll see how it works. But we're excited about our first season together, man. So we'll see how it goes. But any closing thoughts, brother?
Go Giants.
Go Giants, baby. Let's do it. Thanks, brother.